You're listening to RIAcast, a podcast of the Southwest Florida Real Estate Investment Association. RIAcast brings together a variety of real estate entrepreneurs from all over the world to share tips and ideas. The core purpose of the Southwest Florida RIA is to help members become more profitable and successful through networking, education, and empowerment. Here are your hosts, Jeff Tamarello and Michael Lyons.
Hi, I'm Jeff Tamburello. I am one of the directors of the Southwest Florida RIA, joined by the other director of the Southwest Florida RIA, Mike Lyons, and we are joined by the all-knowing, all-seeing Bruce Norris. Bruce has been around forever and pretty much seen most of what you're going to see. And we really wanted to talk to Bruce about some stuff he went through, which is pretty pertinent for what a lot of people are going through as far as having issues with builders not finishing properties. So thanks for taking the time to tell the story, Bruce. I think it's going to help people.
I appreciate that. So we had about 100 properties that were purchased for, not for spec, but for rentals. That was the idea. So the investor put up cash, put it into fund control, and builders started building. When we got through about 60 houses, we got our first lien notice. And a little bit of concern, but kind of blew it off saying, yeah, that was just a mistake. And then we got a second lien notice. So all of a sudden, okay, I thought we had put up all cash to build them. And now we got 40 houses that are in process and we're getting lien notices. I would say it took us only 2 full days to analyze that we had a $2.6 million hole in how much money we would need to finish and how much funds were available. That was a pretty bad day. Within about 5 minutes, I started calling all the investors that had money into the deal. And it wasn't a combined deal, it was an individual property, but saying that there's a shortfall of a lot of money. So I made all those phone calls. I ordered a plane ticket. It was just like a day or two before COVID became a lockdown. I was literally only one of 2 people on the plane. And when I went to the airport, it was like, holy cow. I was the only person in the hotel when I got in Florida.
Wow.
And so I arranged to meet with the builder. I think on his side, I think he was more surprised than intending to hurt. I really do. I think you can lose control of budgets and, you keep on plodding through, but then all of a sudden when somebody does the math and go, wow, we have a problem. So when I met him, I could tell he was very nervous, and it's like, okay, let's don't have a heart attack here. And I told him, I'm not here to be upset. I'm here to go to solution mode. That's what I do. And so that's what we talked about. And so we came up with a plan to have all of the subcontractors meet within a night or two at the hotel. And we were going to discuss, this is what you're owed, and this is what you can get paid. I would say 36 contractors showed up. 3 of them told us they were armed. The general contractor was there, which I thought was brave and really great of him. And I got up to speak to this group of contractors saying, okay, we have a $2.5 million hole.
Wow.
So I've talked to the contractor and he's willing to contribute back a couple of free and clear houses that he has. So I basically took the houses, but created liquidity for that event. And then I added $1 million to it. And I said, I need to get your cooperation in taking a 40% discount of what you're owed. And we literally can be done. And so obviously that audience wasn't a happy group of people. And we didn't try to make that happen that night. But I did then, we had to go through, can you imagine how many invoices there are on 40 houses with that many contractors? So Aaron, my son, and the staff, Joey and Donna, primarily went through all of the invoices. And this is like miracle stuff. We at the end of the day, we have no liens on any of those properties. We cleared every contractor invoice, no title issues at all. I mean, it's an amazing thing. I would say within a couple days, I started calling all the contractors, one every 15 minutes. We had calculated exactly what we could pay them. I wasn't negotiating anything to anybody because what I wanted to do was say I have to be equally fair to everybody. So if you were coming back, so a comment would be, the first 5, everybody agreed. And I thought, oh, wow, this is going to be easier than I thought. The next guy was owed about 150 grand. And I told him I would pay him 60% of that 90 grand. He said, Bruce, there's no way I'm going to do that. He said, I have lien rights and I did all the paperwork properly. I said, to be honest with you, I can't negotiate anything different than that because I'm going to honor everybody that said yes and everybody that's going to say yes today. And I said, and I know there's paths you can take and all that, but today I've got to tell you, that's what I can pay you. And so there was a pause and he was just like, all right, let me think about that and I'll call you back. So I made one more phone call and the phone rang and it was him. And he said, I can't believe I'm going to tell you this, but I'll take your offer. His wife was also in the business and she had $130,000 owed or something like that. And she took the discount as well. We went through that whole list, I would say, in one very long day.
And that, you mean the phone call portion of the list, or
what's that?
In one day you called everybody, and that's that.
I called everybody on that list. There was about 32 contractors on that list. There were 3 people that refused. 33 said yes.
Wow.
And so the numbers worked. And I would say we were completely done 30 days later, paying everybody. Again, I met with everybody the same day. So it was check day. And they came in and we had all the releases and they got the check. And that's what went on for 8 hours.
Wow. I've got tons of questions, Bruce. I'm sure you're not done with the story yet, but can I ask, what was how did you present, look, we can either drag this out and make this a lot more expensive, or you can do this, cut our losses and move forward? I mean, how did you present?
Yeah. Well, what I did is I asked a couple of questions and I'm just curious, how many of you guys have the same attorney? 36 contractors there, nobody.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to talk to your attorney and you're going to say, we got a $2.5 million hole in this project. And the first thing they're going to say is, well, let's get an accountant. I said, how many of you guys have the same accountant? I said, so what we're signing up for is going to have 36 lawyers, hire 36 accountants. And 2 years later, we're going to finish houses that are not done now and will be in much worse condition.
Yeah.
Then as a practical person, I don't get it. I don't see that's the route to go. And if I'm willing to put up $1 million for something I didn't do, I think you ought to consider taking $1 million off your bill.
And you were protecting your name too, and what you had committed to.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, when I knew the depth of the problem, I'm best when I get pissed off. That's the way, maybe that's the way men are. But there was a little switch that clicked on. And I basically said, there's no way this is going to end this way. And that was my mindset through the whole thing. What was so sweet, remember I told you the husband and wife owned the subcontracting business. He owned one part and she owned another part. And when I came, anybody that was owed more than 100 grand that took the discount, I hand delivered the check. So he was not there, but she was. She says, oh, I got to come talk with that guy. So she came out and she said, now her husband was one of the guys with the gun. And she said, I just want you to know that my husband is a real man's man. And for him to do what you suggested was actually just unbelievable. She says, you have chutzpah. It made my day, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You know what really helped though? There's two other things. There's a contractor named Honk, right? Honch or Honc that's well known.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, so people got their discounted money. And I mean, he was sort of a ringleader. And so I think he definitely got asked, so what are you going to do from here out? He says, I trust the guy. I'm going back to work tomorrow. And so did
That
everybody
helps
else.
too. Yeah, the trust there.
That was, yeah, well, I think if he hadn't done that, there would have been a lot of doubt about that. But he went back to work and did his thing. I think people had a lot of confidence in him and said, hey, if he believes this guy, let's do it. To Dalton's credit, he finished all those houses. See, that's the biggest part. If he doesn't do that,
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Oh, yeah.
screwed, right? Yeah. So now he played a big role in getting to the finish line. And I don't think any of it was intentional. I think you can lose track of budgets. You're busier than you've ever been. I think you can mislead, like we're 25 bill on this job and this job and this job. Well, you multiply that times 100. There you go.
And it goes pretty quick at that point too with that many
Yeah.
properties.
And once it starts going downhill, I mean, I guess, if you're in that position, you're probably hoping for something at the end of the cycle to bail you out. But anyway, what I spent in legal fees for all of that? We had originally hired an attorney because I just didn't know what I was up against. So I met with him one time at the beginning before the meeting with the contractors and never had to meet with him again. So I gave him a $5,000 deposit and he gave me back about $3,800. So
Wow.
my
Yeah, I
total
don't
legal fees,
think I've ever heard of that happening before.
Yeah.
other than title stuff, I was out of pocket $1,200. I almost put that like a picture frame and put that check there because it was solved by guys in the business being reasonable and saying, you know what, this guy's serious enough to put up this kind of money. Let's help him solve it. Honest to God, that was the spirit of that room. No one was happy. We had people that were owed $500,000 that took $150,000 hit.
Wow. Well, you mentioned there were three, and not even to go on the negative side, more just out of curiosity. You said there were three that did argue it. How'd they get resolved?
No, we just paid them.
Three that didn't agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
They weren't part of the solution. But fortunately, collectively, they weren't owed an awful lot of money. So it just became part of the numbers,
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. No, absolutely.
And by the way,
that's incredible.
This isn't the only time I faced this kind of stuff, but this was the biggest one.
Sure.
I had a builder walk off a job in like the 80s, 7 custom homes that were sort of unfinished. So I had to finish those out of pocket. And so anyway, I've had a couple of these, you're just like, okay, I've been here before. And that was though the most challenging and the most amazing end result. Within 30 days, everybody had gotten a check, all title cleared. We never had a title issue on any of those properties. Jill McCrory did the legal work and, for us doing the paperwork and everything and clearing all the title. Yeah, that was quite a team, I got to tell you.
Oh, that's incredible.
What was so fun is you're in this meeting and these attorneys are actually going, why are you doing this? Because they understand I'm not a participant in creating the problem, except for my name's at stake.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, and you know what? It didn't take long. I'd say I made it back within a couple years. And what's funny? I didn't realize it, but when just for this interview, I thought, what if I still have that file? And sure enough, I did.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and now you've experienced it a couple of times, and maybe this is a dumb question or not the right question, but what from your experience, what have you learned to potentially avoid that happening again in the future? Just more oversight on the funds on a monthly basis, or like how would you try to avoid? Or is that hard to say even?
Yeah, I'm not a contractor, so there's things in my knowledge that I don't know, and that's cost me. Okay, yeah. So this cycle, we've got a builder that we're doing, and it's taken him a long time to build a home. So I've had to step in front of this, not everybody doing anything wrong. It's just taking too long. So I've written a very sizable check and making everybody happy. So I'll be happy when my let's don't build homes anymore career is done. I just want to speak for you guys and and tell happy stories. But it's the same thing. You just go, okay, I've got to step in front of this because I want it to end well for the people that trust me with money.
Mm-hmm.
We've had I have spent so little money on attorneys in my career. The only attorney I have in California, which I was in business for all those years, was a guy I used to teach Bible class with. He was the only attorney I ever used for anything. And always when you speak, you go, well, who's your attorney? I don't have one. It's like, what?
Yeah. No, that's good too. Well, so I know you've done business for many years. Gosh, you've got a lot of stories and I've gone through the process. It sounds like a couple of times where you've gone to, but you fixed it every time. I think one of the problems, not the problem, but one of the things in this business, you can do good business forever and nothing bad to say about you, but you screw one group of people over, you do one bad thing and your name's tarnished and the trust is gone and you did the right thing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You sit there and go, yeah, it pissed me off. It's the best thing you can do. Please piss me off. Brings out the best in me because I'm not going to let you tear my name down and toss it in the trash. Just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Well,
now, in instances like we're about to happen. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I think this type of problem is really starting to reverberate in the market. There's a lot of people right now you see BD development all in the news. There's other builders that are in the same boat, quite a few actually. And I'm looking at most of the people are going to have to change horses midstream in building the house. And I think that's really where yours was advantageous, that even though the person puts you in a bad position, keeping them in the deal versus, letting them out of it and turning it into litigation is probably why it went well.
Yeah, that was a big factor. And, kudos to him there's nothing in it for him other than, I think he felt obligated to finish the project. And that was my sense that that was important to him. And yeah, if the contractor walks away, then the next contractor is not going to do that at a discount, right?
No.
Yeah.
He's got all kinds of things to worry about, liens showing up mid-process and all that. So,
well, they also all tend to, whenever they're coming over somebody else's work, they're going to charge you more. And from my experience, they kind of nitpick more because it's not their work.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know why I did it this way. We have to do this.
Well, I found in business lately over the last several years, I guess, but maybe always, but a lot of how people deal with conflict or issues is it's adversarial. It's not, how can we fix this? It's, I've got one side, you got your side, and it's they want to argue it out and get an attorney involved. I mean, I've dealt with it on the management side, which is what I do when it comes to tenants and security deposits, and it can so quickly become adversarial when you're like, all right, how can we fix this? What are you really looking for? Instead of making it worse.
In that first meeting with Dalton, that was I laid that aside. I'm here in solution mode, period. We never had a crossword. I never screamed at him, anything like that. Never. Just, okay, we got this thing. Let's have a meeting with these guys. Let's see what they're willing to do, and let's make it happen.
Sure. And that approach of getting freaked out and yelling, and very seldom does it actually accomplish anything. In most cases, it only makes everything you're dealing with totally worse, and it goes to a place it never should have in the first place. I guess that's just remarkable. That many people came together and agreed to and finished the job. That's incredible.
I think I've just learned over many years. If I'm facing a problem, all I do is go to solution mode. I don't spend 1 second going, well, whose fault is this? I don't do that.
Yeah.
I just go to solution mode, and that's how we spend our time, just solving stuff.
Well, let me ask you this. From an advice standpoint, for someone who wants to do the building and get into that, obviously timing wise might not be the best right now in the group. What kind of advice would you have for someone that wants to build, whether it be spec homes or rental property? Do you have any tips you throw out there for them?
I'm not sure I'm the best one to give that. Because I think it would help I think it would help if you were a general contractor as well.
Yeah.
That's, there's a barrier of knowledge that I don't have, so I have trust. Now, usually I'm using people I've used for a long time. Doesn't mean they always can come through. But I usually start with, I already know what to expect.
Sure.
So my oldest son, Greg, is a general contractor. Now, he took it to a level, as far as rehabs, we used to do about 90 rehabs a year. So this was the process. He would win the bid at usually an auction, like a foreclosure auction, trustee sale. And he would go in the property and didn't have a notepad with him. He would look at the house. He'd go back to his car. He would type in the work that needed to be done. He would order all of the parts from Home Depot and have them delivered on a pallet, and we would bid the labor to do the job. That's how good he was.
Wow.
So he was the one when we had 93. As a matter of fact, that's funny you say that. I had 93 houses I was going to build in California. So this, we're talking to investors. So this was a phone call I got randomly. I'm driving, going to Victorville, and a guy that I really trust and know, he's a builder. He said, Bruce, I am too busy to deal with this, but this is the best land deal I've ever seen in my life. So if you want it, I'll give it to you. So what do you got? 93 finished building lots in a place called Rosamond, California for $3,000 a lot. Finished lots, streets, street lights, view, single loaded lots. They were $3 million loan. The bank went out of business. The guy bought it for 100 grand, the note, and now he's selling it for 270 grand. So I make a U-turn and head to Rosamond. I stand on the lots and say, okay, put it in escrow. It's the single best deal I've ever seen in my life. Now, do I know how to finish 93 houses? No. So my son, Greg, this was how he got in the business. I asked him to come to the site because we were starting to do manufactured homes. Manufactured home labor are not used to volume. One at a time. Okay, so we had like 7 of them going, and he went on the site and he just said, Dad, you have no way, you have not enough manpower to make 93 houses finish in a certain time frame that you're talking about. It's just not going to work. He said, you gotta stick build these things. I said, okay, do you want to do that? And he was like, yeah, I will do that. So he did that. And again, this is a special guy. When 18 years old, he had a part-time job helping a guy. He was the grunt labor for a church guy that built 2 homes in a summer. And Greg was the guy that ran around with the lumber and all that. But you know what he did? This is kind of an amazing story and a credit to him. He took copious notes every day and pictures of what he did and what was done. At the end of 4 months, the houses were built. He came, talked with me. I said, do you know how to build a house? He said, yes, I do. I said, okay. So I bought a building lot. I handed him a set of plans. I said, I don't want to see it until I have a house. 18 years old. 4 months later, had a house. Sold it, never had a problem. That's crazy, huh?
Oh, it's insane. Yeah, but one thing too is taking the great thing about real estate is you're not going to ever know everything. It always changes. There's some basic principles that work, but if you're not willing to take that risk and just, I don't know, but I'm going to make this happen. Pretty. I mean, most people don't do that. So
who can watch? Who at 18 thinks I'm gonna nail this process of building a home?
Yeah.
Instead of getting to go home at 4:59 or 5:01, he's there for an extra hour taking notes and pictures. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, and that's held him in good stead. That's for sure. So anyway, it sure would help when you hire a builder to have really a good background so you can see things quickly that are going awry. There's no doubt about that.
Well, I look at the situation you dealt with that package here in Florida, and I mean, because you took action immediately, and most importantly, got the numbers. Because it's easy for people, they start arguing and, all these wonderful emails go back and forth and, heated conversations. And then by the end of it, nobody knows what ends up and pretty much it's over. So I think Bruce
you could go down the wrong path really fast. I think the idea that I was going to treat everybody with the same percentage was a winner because I didn't negotiate with a soul. The only person that tried, I said, I can't do that. You can, you can take it another route. You're right to do it because you filed all the liens. And he was surprised that was my approach because I knew I thought he thought he was going to probably get 90% instead of 60 or whatever it was, But I couldn't do that. I wanted to honor the person that just said, "I'll go with your proposition." And so that was what we did. We had calculated down to the penny what we could pay everybody. I still have that list. That's funny. When I went to get online, I said, I wonder if I still have that list, and I do.
So,
well, Bruce, man, we appreciate you sharing your story. If you're able to attend, we'd love to have you for our upcoming meeting. I think your insight there would be great.
Jeff was telling me about the quantity of maybe half-built houses.
Hey, Jeff, what kind of numbers are you seeing, you think?
This isn't scientific, but I see at least 600. And I wouldn't call them half-built. There's a lot of people that are in a position where they've paid somebody a first draw, they've bought a lot, and nothing's there but a permit.
Oh.
So, and at that point, what do you do? I mean, do you just land bank the lot? Do you sell it, take a loss, or do you go hire somebody to build it? And, there's an old Southern phrase, caught between a gig and a gator. If you're a bullfrog, and a lot of them are in that, the key to which builder you pick for the next one, you can't miss on that one. That's got to be the right person.
Yeah, what's interesting about that person is that person might be the right person might not take that on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's a tough assignment. The guy that owns that property already thinks builders are bad people, and now you're going to get watched like a hawk, and you need a profit margin because that's a tougher project than starting your own from scratch.
Sure.
Or another way to look at it is this just a rebranded, repackaged version of the person who put you in the position. And I'm hearing some rumors that one of the builders that put everybody in this position has just got a new company, new name, and new partner, and it's the same person that got him there.
Oh, good grief.
So, yeah, everybody needs to do their due diligence for their next step. I love the way you attacked it and kind of held everybody's feet to the fire. Yeah. As far as, finish the job you said you were going to finish.
Just so you know, I mean, that was agreed to by Rick. It wasn't, I didn't have to put the feet on the fire. When I stood up and paid the money, when I told the audience that that's what I was going to participate with my own $1 million, I think they just realized that was an unusual offer.
Yeah.
That I didn't really create the problem, but I'm willing to lose more money than anybody in this room to try and make it right. And then I think the question about everybody have the same lawyer or the same accountant, I think they really calculated what a waste of time that would be to go down a road for 2 years headed in the wrong direction with houses that are half built sitting in Florida weather. Yeah, that's a genius move.
Well, the likelihood of them even collecting anything or ultimately, they probably would have I'm sure they would have got less than the 60% that you're offering after all that's tallied up in time. And they wouldn't have got what they would have agreeing to what they did was the best case scenario.
Oh,
that was.
Yeah. And I think that was nice that they came to that conclusion literally within days. Because this whole thing from that meeting to the signing of everything and the clearing of title was 1 month.
Wow. Yeah, that's
I think there was, Aaron said something like this, and I didn't get involved in the paperwork because I just didn't have time. I was dealing with other things. But I think there were 8,000 pages of documents total.
Wow.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Not one lawsuit, not one bad title. What's kind of cool about that, so I still use McCrory Law, and it's kind of funny because I can just tell that I am a trusted client, which is important to me because what they saw, no one forced me to do. Then that was like astonishing to them. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and that group, I would think. I mean, I would trust you forever after that. You kept your word. You fixed it. I mean, that's huge in this business. I tell Jeff all the time, there's very few people in this business that I wholeheartedly trust, Jeff being one of them. But there's so few, and that would, that's not the norm, and that's rare to come by. I wish it was more common, but it's just
Yeah. Well, part of it too, when you're raising your kids and they're in the business,
yeah,
you want them to see that in action. You don't want to have that rumor that you're a good guy, and then you go, okay, well, this is a problem. You can't do that. It's like,
oh yeah, yeah. You know what your dad
Aaron,
did with that one deal? Yeah. No, that's
Aaron, if Aaron hadn't helped me with all the paperwork, he just worked, probably 18 hours a day for almost a month, solving all that stuff. And he helps people get cooperative. So, I mean, he was working with all the subcontractors. I need every invoice. I need every signature then on the paid side and all that. It was a miracle. I mean, it really was to have that day. You know what's funny? This is a true story. I was in a bad situation with a builder that left me with a project. And you remember Gibson's home run that won the World Series game number one World Series?
Oh, yeah.
Every night before I went to bed, I would watch that home run, because to me, that was a miracle. And that's what I needed to pull off. This was in the 80s. So I watched that home run every day while I was solving something.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I get done with everybody signing and getting their check to solve the Florida problem. I go up to my hotel room. I turn on the TV, and Kirk Gibson's up the bat, going to hit that home run. I'm like, what?
That's fantastic. Oh, that's awesome.
That was ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I teared up again. I just thought, wow, welcome back.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. No. Well, Bruce, we appreciate you. Jeff, you have any questions for him, or?
No, it was great. I really think this is a good thing to put out to the world with what this is becoming forefront. It's going to become more forefront. I think there's a lot of people and a lot of investors primarily and most of them are built to rent, which eventually if you get it built and get a tenant in it, it'll do something. It may not, you're probably going to be at a higher basis. So I doubt you're going to get the same yield you entered into it, but at least you'll be getting a yield.
Yeah, you gotta chase solutions. Not what's the point of going after problems for 2 years that are going to end up in a bankruptcy and nothing?
Yeah,
absolutely. It's just pointless. Go to solution mode and get your life back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, amen to that. Well, appreciate you taking the time, Bruce.
Okay, nice talk with you guys.
Thanks, Bruce.
Bye-bye.
This concludes this edition of RIAcast. Be sure to subscribe to receive our next episode. You can also subscribe at our website, www.swflreia.com. See you at a meeting soon. Please let us know if you have a suggestion for a future episode.